Ladies and gentlemen, you are now watching and listening to Real Talk with Ronnie, with your host, Ronald Lynn. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Real Talk with Ronnie. On my show tonight, we have two very special guests. And the reason that these guests are special is not only because they're very talented and very smart, but it holds a special place in my heart because these two individuals are running for the same position that I ran for last year and in 2021. They are running for county commissioner here in Bergen County. So it's obviously something that I take very, very, it's a very personal issue, right? Because I was there and I've done it. So joining us tonight are Mary Jo Guichard and Shalah Collins. They are the nominees for Bergen County for the county commissioner spots this year, and they are very talented, and they're like the best of friends, right? They're like besties, and that started from day one. So I'm so happy to bring them on. Hello.
Hi there.
Hi, Ron.
Hi, so nice to see you guys again. So we've got a lot to talk about, right? 2023 is a big year. Well, in New Jersey, there's an election every single year, right? But this year, once again, the county commissioner seats are up. And as you guys know, I ran last year and the year before. My slate and I, we came pretty close, right? We came within 2.5 points both times, right? And but this year, it was time to let someone else have a shot at it, right? And I'm so happy that two incredible people like you have stepped up and decided to run for this all-important countywide seat. So why don't we start with Shalah Collins, right? Why don't you tell us about yourself, about your background, and what made you decide to run for county office?
So my name is Shalah Collins. A lot of people butcher that, so I make sure I let people know. You see, as I have in parentheses, Shalah. So I'm a new resident of Bergen County. I've been here going on 7 years, but prior to that, I grew up in New York City in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, and I finished, I'd say, half of my life was in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. The rest was in Queens, so I like to say I'm a Brooklyn, Queens girl. But if you ask me where I'm from, I'm always going to tell you Brooklyn. I came from a big family. I have 7 brothers. There's me and my sister, so there's 9 of us. I'm the baby. And I came from a background of working for law enforcement, a little bit of community organizing for the most part, or I say actually coordinating because I work with a nonprofit. I was elected chapter chair with my union, which was DC 37, Local 1549. It's under the umbrella of AFSCME. That is their their parent union. And so that was my life in New York City prior to coming to New Jersey. I worked for the NYPD for 10 years of my life. Before I came here, when I came here, I decided to be an entrepreneur. I started my own business. I published my first children's book, which I love and I'm very fond of. It's called Rascalville. That was published in 2017. I got myself into the insurance industry, but all during that time, I was always, I'd like to say, politically active, whether it been just participating in things that I cared about, things that I was passionate about. I kept myself involved, but not until 2022 when I decided to volunteer on a local campaign. It's like, what's the best way to get started? And I met Billy Prempa and his crew because I live within his congressional district. And that's what brought me here today.
Okay, great. And you currently live in Lyndhurst, right?
Yes, I do.
Right. And in Lyndhurst, we have the 2 brothers there, right? The Oriama twins who are running for state assembly and state senate from District 36, right? They've been a big help to our campaign last year, and I'm sure they're a big help to your campaign, this year too, right?
Yes, the Oriama brothers are a gift. They're great guys, wonderful, just solid, down to earth. You couldn't ask for a better group of twins to be on your team.
Right. And it's not too often that you actually have a group of twins, right?
That's right. Usually their personalities are a little different. It's not to say that they aren't, but just the fact that both of them want to be involved and actually want to serve the community, I think is really nice.
Right. Okay. Moving on to our second candidate here, Mary Jo Guichard. Mary Jo, you and I actually have a little bit of history, right? Because last year, for a very brief amount of time, we were actually in competition, right? because
Yes,
last year when I was running on the line, you and the slate were running off the line, and
yes.
it was a spirited, primary. But at the end of the primary, you were very, humble, and it's just super nice. You came on board and you helped our campaign, in a very great way. So I want to thank you for coming together. And of course, this year, when I found out you were running, I immediately came on board too.
You're the best.
Okay, so Mary Jo, why don't you tell us about yourself and what made you decide to start running? Okay.
Well, first I want to say thank you for inviting Shalah and I on. This is such a wonderful opportunity, and we so appreciate it. And I think the best part, just to kind of tag on to what you just said, the best thing about when you ever run and put your name in, the pool, is that you do meet wonderful people like yourself, Ronnie. We wouldn't be here today as friends if I hadn't met you last year. So, and that's what Republicans should do. They should embrace each other. We can be, competitive, but yet be friends and still continue that friendship. And that's the message. I think that's so great that we don't even have to talk about it. We're living it. So
Right.
that's been the beauty of the whole thing. But my name is Mary Joanne Guichard, and I'm originally born from Dallas, Texas. So you'll hear a little bit of a Southern twang sometimes, but not too much. I guess I've become a little bit known for wearing my cowboy boots. I love my cowboy boots a lot. And so sometimes you'll see me with them and sometimes you don't. But the funny thing is, sometimes when people don't see me in them, they're asking where my boots are. So that's been, I guess, a little trademark that's started to tag on with me here. But like I said, I'm from Texas and I have two brothers and a sister, lots of nephews and nieces and family in Texas still. And I moved to New York because my career brought me to New York. I am a Broadway entertainer and I've done a lot of off Broadway, a couple of Broadway things, national tours. I did a show in Korea at the Opera House. And so I've performed professionally pretty much most of my life since I was 20 years old. And that's when I got my union card with Actors Equity. And it was a passion. I went to Southern Methodist University and got my music degree, voice concentration there. What brought me into loving politics was that I was in the Broadway world, or the musical theater world, let's call it. You have a representation between the company of the actors and the producers. So you have deputies that are principal deputies and chorus deputies. And I would, depending on what role I was in, I started off as a chorus deputy, which was really phenomenal because you learned the negotiations if there were any issues that had to be addressed. And I guess that's sort of politicals in a way, because you're wanting everyone to work together and get along if there is an issue, and to find a happy medium of solutions. So that just was part of the process of, in my acting world. And I really loved that because I love working with people as well. Moving on, I had three phenomenal children. I met a wonderful husband along my journey that kept us in New York. And we went back a little bit between Texas and New York because of my husband's career. And we've ended up back in the East Coast. So when we moved to upstate New York, in a place called Tuxedo Park, New York, I was asked to run for, at that time, trustee, which is a council person in, other municipalities, depending on the size of the municipality and what they want to call it. In the village of Tuxedo Park, we called it trustee. And I became a trustee for 2 years. Then I was elected mayor for 2 years. And after that, I was asked to be by the county executive of Orange County to sit on the planning board in Orange County. I've been, through my life, always very philanthropic with lots of organizations and my churches and American Heart Association and different entities throughout my lifespan, from Texas to here in now New Jersey, where we live. We moved to New Jersey before COVID. Our daughter had moved to Ridgewood, where we live now currently. And we fell in love with Ridgewood. It's absolutely wonderful. And it's a midpoint in between all of our kids, which is really great. And the reason why I became involved here in Ridgewood was when COVID happened and, we were all locked down. there was something I just wanted to do something, and something that was beneficial. And there wasn't a lot we could do, obviously, and there were still campaigns going on. And so I reached out to our congressional candidates and volunteered with Frank Pallotta and started meeting some individuals, and really realized how much I was missing being in, the area of making a difference to the community in a big way. And the next year, I was asked to run for county commissioner, and that's where I got to meet you and all the other wonderful people, and was so excited to be back in the saddle again, if you want to call it, and meet all of you guys. And then here we are today.
Right. Thank you so much for that great intro. And Mary Jo, I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but there's a candidate for U.S. Senate right now, right? Her name is Shirley Maya Cusick, and her trademark is the cowboy hat, and your trademark is the cowboy boots. So if you join forces, you would have one whole cowgirl, right?
There you would have it.
Right. Okay. So as you might know, running for county commissioner is a pretty rigorous job, right? You have to go to different events in all 70 towns in Bergen County. I mean, I did it last year and also the year before, right? It was very rigorous. You spend a lot of time away from your family, right? But I guess it's okay for you guys, since I think most of your children are grown, right? But that being said, it's still a very hard process. But going around the county and seeing all the different wonderful people from all 70 towns, what do you see as the most pressing issue today for Bergen County residents? Let's start with Shalah first.
For Bergen County residents, as you know, like you were mentioning, we've been going around all the towns. We haven't hit all 70, but that is obviously something that we have to do. We don't really have a choice. I'd say probably there's several issues, but I'd say something to be a number one issue is really what's going on with parental rights and parents having the right to have involvement, to be engaged, to direct their children's education. We've heard this from several different municipalities of parents that we've spoken to. Mary Jo's children are older. I do have an older daughter, and my son is still in middle school, so he's 12 years old. He's still he's affected by what's going on as well. So I'd say key number one issue, from what I'm hearing, it's dealing with the parents.
Okay. So parental issues and parental rights, that's a hot topic right now, not just in Jersey, not just in Bergen County, but all across the nation, right? Mary Jo, what do you think?
I cannot agree more with Shalah. The first thing they want to know a lot of times is, what is a county commissioner? And because a lot of them know it as freeholder prior, up until just a few years ago. So once we get them understanding that it's one and the same, and we give them all of the different areas that we are in charge of, then they get a grasp on that, but then they go right to their children. Everyone is completely 100% concerned about their children. I have a grandson that is in kindergarten, first grade now. And I have personally seen the impact of what's happening in the schools, as well as Shalah. We cannot get past pretty much a lot of times of that discussion. Even though they know we don't legislate about children, they know that we are in charge of the Bergen Academy, which is the high school, and the Bergen Community College. But they want to know what we can do to help. And obviously, Shalah and I are both touched by this subject, as well as many people across the country. And we will 100% be their voices to make sure that our legislatures know the concerns, because we're right there in the trenches with these 70 municipalities. So we're able to communicate to them right from the mouths of these parents what's going on, so then they can take that to the next step and then support all of what they're doing as well.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, parental rights is probably the key hot topic in all of the U.S. right now, right? And just going back to the term county commissioner, right? It used to be known as freeholder, and I got this question too last year when I ran, right? I would often get asked, why did they change the name? And the reason is because, freeholder was deemed racist. And in our woke society today, it's not surprising to see why they would find, racism in everything, right? But apparently freeholder, this term was racist because back in the day, the only people that could run for office were people who owned land free and clear. And as we know, back in the day, the only people who could own land free and clear were usually white males, right? So that's why they decided to change the name. But I just thought that was an interesting genesis as to why this name came to be and why they decided to change it. Okay, so that being said, the parental rights, but on the county level, though, what are the type of issues that will be on your platform that you hope to spearhead and change should you win in November?
We'd say, accountability and really having transparency in government. I think overall, the Republican Party, or at least myself, I'd say, would like to see accountability. People don't trust systems. I think largely all across the country, but as far as on Bergen County level, we'd like to know. There's so much you just don't know, and like, for example, right now, currently, and I'm not calling anything out, this has been my experience, even I'd say in my township of Lyndhurst. I think at the time when government has certain meetings going on during the day, when they have meetings going on during working hours, they're excluding a large part of the population from actually participating. If people are not, if things are not being streamed, let's say live, or you give people any kind of opportunity to participate, that's leaving people out of that process. I've seen it dealing with the school system. I've seen it dealing with the PTA, and that's staying on the local level where I am. And as far as on the county level, I have seen that there are meetings that go on at 4:30. I don't know many people that are able to attend meetings that go on at 4:30. So I would say if we are trying to make the process, better, where we want more of the public to participate and be involved in, in policy and in democracy, as we say, everybody should be able to participate. And so I would say they should make some adjustments to the time that they conduct their business if they are looking for input from the public.
Right. I think that's a crucial one. The accountability and the transparency of our government on every level should be there, right? Okay. Mary Jo, what about you? What do you think?
To tie in on that, where Shalah's talking about the transparency, well, right now they are discussing their budgets, correct? And that was something that I was always, as a mayor, a former mayor in New York, that was extremely important, that you don't have meetings where the public is not able to really participate and give opinions, etc. Also, you need to be fully transparent of how that budget has moved over 1 year, 2 year, 5 years, 10 years. And to sit there and say that you're flat or wherever your budget's going, you need to have that data to be really clear, because to be all honest, I don't think that the residents are as concerned as certain, things, as long as all the services are being held correctly in their eyes. But you need to let them know how the dial has moved over time to make sure that things are being held accountable. Are all the contracts being bid out? You should be very fluid about that on your bids, of where those bids came in. That's part of that responsibility, I would think, of any government when they're dealing with contracts and their budgets. If you're saying that your budget is flat, is it really flat, or is it only a portion of what you're trying to report on? Because when you look at the overall how the money has moved through time, the taxes have actually increased over the last years of 10 years plus to, some sort of a percentage. There's no way it's been flat over time. Maybe certain things have stayed flat because you've moved the monies in different ways of how it needed to be, but be open about all of that. And also, the mental hospital aspect for me is really something very, very important, because especially after COVID, mental illness has gone through the roof. And so we need to make sure there are enough beds. Are we doing everything possible without compromising any of the other services or having things go out of control budget-wise? So we're really making sure all the different parts, the moving pieces that the county committee or the county commissioners, look at. Are we doing what's needed? And we put that back out to the public to make sure that they're understanding why we are doing what we are doing. And then the small businesses, those have suffered a lot because of COVID. We need to make sure we're supporting and giving all the things we need to do to make sure those small businesses are able to come back, to thrive, giving all the resources, the public lands. There's so many moving pieces that on the side, when you take away everyone talking about the issues of the children, that all think about it, common denominator is transparency and accountability.
Right. Yep. I think that's very important. And I think all these problems that we've talked about, right? The parental rights, the lack of accountability, the lack of transparency. I think if you think about it, it all stems from the fact that we currently live in a one-party system in Bergen County, right? When one party is in charge of everything, and this was an issue that we really talked about, last year and in 21 when I first ran, right? The fact that we live in a one-party system, right? They can basically do anything they want, and they have no pushback from anyone. So that's why it's more important, more so now than ever, to have another set of eyes or two sets of eyes in that, room to kind of just see what exactly they are doing, right? In terms of the budget, in terms of all the policies that affect us on the county level. So that's why I pray to God that you guys win, right? But speaking of that, right? So last year we came really close. We came within 2.5 points. So what will you two do differently this year to try to, accomplish where we kind of, fell short last year?
Well, I feel like, Ron, that's going to be a conversation offline. We need to dig more into what you guys did to find out, not as if we would do something completely different, because I wouldn't deny, I would imagine that you guys really hit the pavement and you worked hard, just as me and Mary Jo are working hard. But maybe perhaps we'd like to double or triple those efforts if that's humanly possible, right? If it's humanly possible. One thing I would say is that when I came to Bergen County, I was unaffiliated. I was a registered unaffiliated voter. What I know, at least from my perspective of being an unaffiliated voter, is I didn't want to register with either party because I felt like I had my own criticism and skepticisms of both parties, right? I think Republicans have a messaging issue. If you ask me personally, unaffiliated voters care about message. Why should I vote for you? Don't just give me something to vote against, give me something to vote for. So I pretty much kept myself as unaffiliated. But anytime someone knocked on the door and asked me for their vote, if they went over the issues, if it made sense, if it was practical, rational, common sense, I would support you. But I remained unaffiliated. And I could say the 7 years that I've been in New Jersey, I've never voted for a Democrat. So my process is that I believe there are more unaffiliated voters out there, just like I was. And the reality is that you have to go make your case to the voters. You have to sell yourself and tell the voters why they should come out and vote for you. What's different about you? What's gonna, you got to convince them that you're not just going to be a seat holder, a placeholder, that you actually come in office with a mandate, with the issues that they care about, the things that are concerning to them, that keep them up at night. You have to convey that message to them that you're going to go in there and you're going to be representing them. That's right.
Great. Mary Jo?
To me, you guys did an amazing job. And we definitely are, as we go around all the municipalities, I think Shalah and I have been to about 30 approximately, and some of them several times. And we have 40 more to go, and we plan on making all of them. It's a lot of effort, and sometimes Shalah and I are having to split up a couple of times. We do everything as a team, which has really been wonderful, and we have become such good friends, and that has made it really an enjoyable process. I can't imagine a better teammate than Shalah, and the process has brought us together, which I'm so thankful for. But taking what y'all have started and other candidates prior to us have started, we will just keep building upon that. And it's the trust for me, having them know they can trust us. And I don't think it's something that you have, you become. It's just you are trustworthy. And I feel that everyone that Shalah and I speak to, generally they know they can trust us. We are solution makers. We don't need to, revisit all these problems. Everyone knows the problems. We want to give them hope. We want to give them knowing that we're not going to be angry or mean. We're going to be able to work at that table and come up with solutions and work together, because obviously there's only two of us, and there's going to be others at that table that may have different opinions than we have. And you know what? That's wonderful. I've worked on tables where there's been many opinions sitting at that table. And that's when you get your best solutions, because everyone has something to bring and you work together. And that's something that Shalah and I are conveying to the constituents, that we are going to go to that table and we're going to work together with everyone and do our very best to make sure that we come up with whatever's needed to get from point A to point B, because it is possible. And it's possible to do it with kindness, strength, obviously, but kindness, because I think it's time everyone is wanting, there's enough anger going around. We don't need to add more to that, right? So that to me is extremely important.
Right. I mean, I think you guys make some really great points. And, to speak to the point where, because I know some people say, oh, well, Jersey is a blue state or is a purple state, or I don't buy that. Because you know why? Because if you look at the voting numbers from 21 or from 22 or from, I think in 21, 40% of the voters came out to vote, right? 40%, which means that 60% stayed home. So to me, that doesn't mean that we're a blue state or a red state or a purple state. It means that we're an apathetic state.
That's right.
If more than half of the population stays home, that means that they don't care. So I think in order for any candidate to win from either side, all you have to do is tap into that majority of people who haven't been coming out to vote, excite them, give them a reason to actually vote, right? And I think if you can find that recipe, then you can win every single time. I mean, if you look at Chris Christie, right? Chris Christie won twice as a Republican in a blue state, right? How did he do that? Is because he was able to tap into the independents, and he was able to kind of like inspire people to come out and give them a reason to vote, right? So I think everyone has an opportunity to win, but you just got to find that magic recipe.
Right.
For me, I think the thing that you're absolutely right on, my ancestors, my grandparents and their parents came from Italy to this country. And they came here because opportunity. They could have a better life than what they had. And there was such pride and love for coming to this country. And I truly believe that we all have that. I know I have that. I'm an American first, foremost, and I treat everyone as such. And we've kind of gotten away from that respect and that, that love, that's what's important, because you can do anything that you put your mind and heart to, anything.
Right.
And you're absolutely right. People have been staying home because they feel like my vote doesn't count. Well, your vote does count. There are some municipalities that some of those elections are, 10 votes or 100 votes. That's so small compared to the other part of that picture. Their vote really, really does count. And that message, Shalah and I, every place we go to, we have been expressing that. And as well, those municipalities that are having school board elections, those are critical. For me, it's the bottom up. They're the ones touching your children. If everyone is as concerned, and they say they are so concerned about their children, then care about who you are voting for those school board elections. And then just vote all the way up, because we're all aligned. We are all aligned on this and all have that same desire and care.
Right. Now on to the fun part of the interview. So I have two more questions left, right? But each question is going to come in two parts, okay? And you will see why. So let me ask Shalah this question first. Well, it's going to be the same question to both of you, but I'll have Shalah answer first, okay? So this first question is, what does Shalah Collins do for fun? And so that's part A of question one, right? Part B, so I know that you and Mary Jo are pretty much besties, right? The bestest of all friends. So what is one thing you can tell the viewers about Mary Jo that we typically would not know about her?
Oh, he's getting a little deep, Mary. Let's see how I can best answer this. Okay. So what Shalah likes to do for fun is that I haven't had the time to do it in a very long time because obviously I've been on a campaign trail, but I like to do karaoke, right? I karaoke at home. I like to sing. It is therapeutic. Life is hard and serious, and it's a lot of fun. And the plenty of times that I've done it, people who are like squares who sit on the wall and be weird about, oh, they don't want to do it. After two drinks, everybody sings. It's amazing. So I love that. I also love roller skating, which I haven't done in a long time. But these are things you're asking about, like I like to do for fun. Now, as far as Mary Jo goes, what Mary Jo doesn't know, and what the audience doesn't know, is when I was a little girl, I wanted to be a singer. So bringing Mary Jo, me coming at this age and living my life, Mary Jo and us have two completely different lifestyles, two completely different paths. But to be able to actually run with somebody who has actually lived the life of your dreams, right? That they've walked that walk. They've been in theater, right? They've traveled the world, seen places that you haven't seen. That is amazing. And it's humbling for me. And I learn from her all the time. She has a beautiful family. She has a beautiful, warm, loving, supportive husband. She has a grandchild and one that's on the way. I would say just to be able to be with someone, to actually run an office with someone like that. And of course, she also shares my astrological, what is it? Astrological? Because
astrological, right? Astrological.
Astrology, we have the same sign. We're Pisces. So that might be the reason why we get along so much. But in general, Mary Jo is a beautiful person. She's very balanced. She's thoughtful. She's kind. She's caring. She's sweet. And that's why we complement each other. We start the day with each other and we end the day with each other. So I know Claude probably is like annoyed, but I'm sorry. He has to share right now.
Mm-hmm. And also, if karaoke is your thing, you couldn't have found a better partner than Mary Jo, right?
Absolutely.
All right, that's beautiful. Okay, Mary Jo. So same question. What is what do you like to do for fun, and what is something about Shalah that us viewers or people that are not intimate with the campaign may not know about?
Well, first of all, I love to garden. So a lot of the time, I haven't been able to do it as much as I like to do, but I do squeeze it in. A lot of times, Shalah and I will be speaking, brainstorming, and she's like, I can't hear you. And I said, because I'm in the dirt right now, planting something or I'm cutting something. I try to keep it at a minimum, time slot. Sometimes it goes a little beyond that time slot, but I love my flowers. I love my garden. There's just something about digging in the dirt that is very therapeutic, to see something you've planted and it grows and you can talk to it. It doesn't talk back. It just gives you these beautiful blooms and it's wonderful. And I love to cook. On the campaign trail, you don't get to cook as much either, unfortunately. Shalah and I many a times are joking about what's left open at the hours that we're ending our day at. And we just won't repeat anything that we're putting in our bodies. But I come from an Italian heritage, and I've been, watching cooking happening since I was a little bitty girl, being I guess what you would call the sous chef to your sister. and cleaning all the dishes as she was cooking, and then being really excited when I got to participate even more so. And I my family came from small business, if you want to call it that. We were in the fish business our whole life, as I can remember as a child, and so I just grew up with food. Many of my family members in Texas are in the restaurant business, so I do love to cook, and my husband will be very happy when I start cooking a little bit more. But it's also very therapeutic, and to cook for your friends. There's nothing better. Now, out Shalah. So first of all,
Good stuff, right?
good stuff. No, she really is, and I'm not going to cry.
Uh-oh.
But she's amazing. I can't even find the words that can embrace such a beautiful person. If you think she's beautiful on the outside, you have no idea, because on the inside, she just bursts with beauty. She is soulful. She is spiritual. She has this most incredible family, the most incredible children. Neither of us have had these perfect lives that we don't need to share, that we've shared with each other. Mm-hmm. And we've grown, and it's almost as if our lives have been parallel, just waiting to merge us together, because we have so many similarities, not only our astrological sign, but similar places where we've lived that have similar names, and things that we like to do, how we use sentences, how we have sayings that will burst out and the other one completes it. She's and she's so calm. I'm very, what would you say, Shalah?
You could be a little, a little anxious, just a little.
Very calming. And I think the best part of us together is we really have, I feel like she's almost my sister, because I cannot even think about, we've only known each other for a couple of months, but it just seems like we've known each other for such a long time. And the moment we met each other and we did that first hug, it was, and even on the phone, it was just this automatic, we've known each other.
Mm-hmm. Uh-oh. Seems to be a little bit of
a little freezing.
Okay. But basically, yeah. But I think there was so much spark between you two that it kind of fried the circus there a little bit. But
but it's true. There's an energy between us that is just so wonderful, and she just brings it out. She's calming. She's loving. She's understanding. She's so easy to speak to. How can you actually how does that even come in the same sentence as campaigning and, candidates and politics? You don't find that very often. Right. And honestly, we are having so much fun, and we know this is so serious. It's no joke what we're doing.
Right.
But it's been a joy, just an absolute joy to be in her presence.
And let me tell you something. It's good that both of you have found someone that you actually genuinely like to be with during this whole campaign process, because the campaign trail is not all fun and games, right? You have some dark days, and sometimes you deal with people that kind of gives you a headache, right? So it's good that at the end of the day, you're actually going through this process with someone who you like, and in your case, who you love, right? So that definitely makes the process a lot easier. But I
have
think,
to add one more thing, Ron.
Sure.
She lives in Ridgewood. I moved from Ridgewood.
Oh, wow.
Queens. I was in Ridgewood, Queens before I moved to New Jersey, and she's now residing in Ridgewood, New Jersey.
It's like fate, right?
So weird.
I think what the kids are calling that is you guys are sisters from different misters, right?
Yes. If I could just say, not only are we blessed though with each other, and we're talking about this today, and one of our many times that we steal a few minutes here and there all during the day, because we need to talk about things, but the entire group of candidates on this slate, everyone is the same way. They're wonderful, giving,
Yeah,
wrong.
but to touch on your point, literally every single candidate who's running this year in Bergen County on the legislative level and on the county level are all great, great people, right? I mean, if you look at District 36, right, you got Chris and Craig and Joe Vizo, fantastic guys, right? You look at District, let's see, 38, right, and you got Barry Wilkes, right, and Gail Horton and Micheline. They're a great team, and of course District 39 and 40, they're doing very, very well. So yeah, I think there's a lot of good things are going to happen, right? And on to my second question. So that first question kind of went a little bit long, but I know, but that was kind of expected, right? So the second question is, and of course, it's going to come in two parts again, right? So what is one new thing that you learned about Bergen County so far during this whole process, right? And on top of that, aside from the town that you currently live in, what is your favorite Bergen County town so far? Or which town is your favorite town so far, aside from the town that you currently live in? Okay. So why don't we start with Mary Jo?
Okay, so the one thing I did not know, which I have found really interesting, is that there are a lot of county roads that go winding through a lot of these municipalities. And obviously, roads is a big deal, the potholes, the repairs, et cetera, that have to be done. And I learned that before a county road can be fixed, the municipality is responsible for fixing their curbs and their sidewalks.
Mhm.
So I think in some cases, maybe there was a disconnect of one knowing the other, or they weren't communicating perfectly together. Residents don't per se know that's kind of the process of how that goes. So that's something that was very interesting in how that all worked on one of those issues, and which answered a lot of questions for me, at least, of why things maybe take, because if you get in the wrong cycle after they've already done the road in that area, then you have to wait whatever the next cycle is for them to come back so you can finish that up. And in some cases, if you're paying for those curbs and sidewalks, you might get sometimes a reimbursement back, possibly from the county. I'm not sure if that's 100% for sure, but there's all of that information, which is interesting. Your second question, which is my most, that I've gone to. We've been to some fantastic municipalities. We've been to some fairs. I have to say, for me, so far, this is hard. There have been some really great ones.
I know. I mean, there doesn't seem to be a right answer, right? Because whatever answer you say, you're going to piss off the other six.
No, what's so great about it, each one has its own special pull on you after you've been there. And you go, because everyone has embraced us. So, and I'm sure you found that the same when you went.
Mm-hmm.
They have been so warm and so welcoming. They can't do enough for us. And even still, like in real time, it's still continuing as we go down, as we march through to November. All of them. And I hate to give that answer because that may be Shalah's answer also. But they really all have been great. And I just would have to think about it, honestly, because from Fairlawn to Teaneck to, Moonachie, you name it, there's been something that has charmed us.
Okay, fair enough. And also a very political answer. I like that. Okay. All right, Shalah.
So what I've learned about Bergen County as I've traveled it is Bergen County is big, but it's big and it's beautiful from like the Ruta to the Tuta. And each town has its own character, its own flavor, its own taste. Like it's just a gorgeous county. So for me, I don't know about Mary Jo, I'm very artistic in being my Pisces self. It's very hard to get, you can't ask Shalah what's her favorite color because I'm not going to give you a color. I'm going to give you a range of the ones that I like. Now, I'm not going to give a range of towns because I am going to represent all my constituents and I don't need any bad blood with anybody from any town. But honestly, in general, I mean, as I've been up north, I've started to see a lot more. These are towns that probably would have never just, went to, although I have a girlfriend who also lives in Ridgewood, like Mary Jo, that I used to work with. And we've been trying to get together there. So I imagine now that we also have some common glue. It's like, I've been trying to see you, but guess what? More than likely, I'll be seeing Mary Jo. So if you want to join us, come right ahead. But I'd say Bergen County as a whole, being from New York, something I appreciate, and I don't know if they do this in all the towns, and it could just be the suburbia part of Jersey or being here, is I love when the kids are graduating high school that they actually have those banners of those kids around the town, the same way you have your fallen heroes and your veterans. It's like, you're acknowledging your youth and letting them know there's somebody, your future leaders. It's really nice to see them up there. So I really love that about Bergen County.
Okay, great. Yeah, since I'm not running this year, so I'll give an answer, right? So during my campaign last year and the year before, because during the both of my runs, I'd never really been to South Bergen County because I grew up in North Bergen County. So to have the chance to go to the southern part of Bergen County was actually really, really interesting. And it was new for me, right? And one of the towns there that struck me the most was actually Wallington. Because Wallington, as you guys know, has a big, Polish population there, right? And it's such a big, once you walk in there into one of these restaurants, you feel like part of a big family, right? And they're just so warm and they just welcome you in. So for me personally, I was very interested with South Bergen County and especially with Wallington. So
yeah, it's a good town. They have a great DMV. There was the first DMV I went to when I came from New York, and I mean, I was serviced in 15 minutes. This is pre-COVID, obviously.
Oh my God!
And I was like, that could never happen in New York City. You go to the DMV, you plan to be there for the day. I mean, there's no 15 minutes. You're in and out, but that's how it was in Wallington. So,
well, I will give a shout out to the DMV in Oakland because they're actually pretty fast too, right?
That's where we got ours is in Oakland,
right?
Of course, super fast.
So at least in Bergen County, the DMV seems to be okay, right? It seems to be working
absolutely.
Well. All right. Now you guys are off to probably more events this weekend, and but to the viewers that are watching right now, I want to post your website, right? Collins Guichard for commissioner.com. Now this website is up and running now, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. So for all the viewers and listeners that are watching, if you want to learn more about Mary Jo and Shalah, please go to Collins Guichard for commissioner.com to check out more on their campaign. And if you want to donate, right? I assume there's a donate button somewhere on your website, right?
Yes, there is.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And do you have any campaign activities or any events that are upcoming you would like to tell us about?
Well, we just had a fundraiser last night that was well attended at the Fiesta. We have several events that we have going on, future events. We also have people who are going to be putting together different kind of like meet and greets for us as well. But I would say, and I'm going to obviously let Mary Jo say something, I would say, everything's not always going to be about events. We would appreciate it if they do decide to go and donate, all the funds that come to our campaign will be used for Get Out the Vote efforts, will be used for me and Mary Jo to continue to campaign, go to more towns, engage with more voters, and really just turn out the vote in November.
Great. Mary Jo, would you like to add to that?
For that, they will be seeing us at a couple of parades that we'll be doing 4th of July. So we've been asked to be at a couple of parades, and both of them are wonderful places that we want to be. So we're trying to figure out how we're going to do that because there's one of each of us, and we don't know if we want to separate to do it or what. We're figuring all that out because that's, I think, the most difficult is that we really enjoy going to the places together. So they get both of us to ask questions and see us both together. So that's one of the things. But like Shalah said, we have several people that are wanting to give us some things, in the homes that are more intimate. That I think is wonderful because we can really then talk. When you have these bigger events, we really don't get the opportunity to have a one-on-one with someone and really get into a discussion as you do when you're in the event, because there's a lot of things going on around you at that time. So those are really wonderful. We are entertaining that. No dollar is too small. I don't want anyone to feel that if they can only give $5, that, oh, that's just too small of amount. $5 we appreciate as much as any other amount because it takes every dollar. We have literature we have to print, the vote by mails we have to get out, the postage, signs, all of those things is really where their money is going to go to. And Shalah and I are very frugal. So we can take that dollar and we can stretch it very, very far.
And that's also a good quality to take with you once you win, right? Because I think that's what we need in county government, a frugal mind, right? To kind of take care of the taxpayer dollars, right?
Yes.
All right, ladies, I want to say thank you for coming on. It's been such an honor and a pleasure to get a chance to catch up and to share your vision with the rest of the viewers, right? I wish you two the best of luck. I know you guys will win, and I can't wait to be there at the victory party.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you.
All right.
So much. It's been our pleasure.
All right.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for watching and listening to Real Talk with Ronnie. To watch and learn more about our show, including ways to contact us and how you can be a guest, go to realtalkronnie.com.